This is a study of chapters 3 and 4 of the book of 2 Samuel. House of Saul is established by Saul's son Ishbosheth, and he is a weakling, but he has been undergirded by Saul's general and first cousin, who was Abner. They are controlling all of the tribes except for Judah, and David is at this point the king of Judah and will remain so for 7.5 years. Now, there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David waxed stronger and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. Now, the long war does not mean that it was a continuous war. It was simply a war that was on again, off again. Verse 2. And unto David were sons born in Hebron. Hebron is the capital city of Judah. And his firstborn was Amnon of Ahishonam the Jezreelite. And his second, verse 3, Chileah of Abigail, the wife of Nabal. That should be the widow of Nabal the Carmelite. And the third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. And as we move through this book, we will see that Absalom will be a great threat to his father David, and it will cause a great deal of heartache. 4. And the fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith, and the fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. These are quite a few wives of they were told in Deuteronomy that God said a king should not have many wives. Of course, David has in no way gotten close to the number of wives that his son Solomon will produce. 5. And the sixth, Ithream by Eglah, David's wife, and these were born to David in Hebron. That would have been during that 7.5-year period that he was king of Judah. 6. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. Abner's strength, of course, he was an excellent military leader, and he is the strength of Saul's house, not this son who was not even present when his father and brothers were killed. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Uriah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, Wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? Now the rule was that a father's concubine went to the son, and Abner has overstepped. 8. Then was Abner very wroth, angry for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman. A dog's head is quite a contemptible term, and this speech of Abner's is saying to Ishbosheth, you would be nothing without, excuse me, me. And he is absolutely correct. 9. So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him. He's saying, watch it. If you aren't careful, I will throw my support to David. 10. To translate the kingdom from the house of Saul and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. That would be all the way from the north to the south. And he's saying, I can help David to take over this whole country. 12. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Whose is this land? Saying also, Make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all Israel unto thee. So he is going to make a pact with David. 13. And he said, Well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, and that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face. That was David speaking, and Michal was his first wife, promised to him by Saul, and Saul gave her to another. So David's deal is, you bring Michal or you won't see me. 14. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, and Saul's son, saying, Deliver me my wife Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. Saul said, if in earlier part of 1 Samuel, he said, Sure, David, you can have my daughter for a wife, but it will cost you 100 Philistine foreskins. And you don't think they gave up that bodily part willingly? No, they did not. But David brought 200. And 15. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phael, the son of Laish. Now this is quite of a real piece of manhood here in this husband of hers that Saul gave her to. 16. And her husband went with her along, weeping behind her, to Bahurim. Then said Abner unto him, Go, return. And he returned. So he went out behind her, crying and bawling, and Abner turned him round. 17. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel. He sought for David in times past to be king over you. He said, you have wanted David to be your king. 18. Now then do it, for the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies. And that is what God said. 19. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin, and Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron all that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. Why Benjamin? It was a small tribe. Well, it was the tribe from which Saul came, and of course then his sons. So Abner is positioning himself to be a very good ally of David's. 20. So Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and all the men that were with him a feast. So they've had a party here to celebrate. 21. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, small l, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. So Abner is going to arrange for David to be the king over the entire land. 22. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. So they have had a pursuit after an enemy and come back with a great lot of spoil. 23. When Joab and all the hosts that were with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner, the son of Ner, came to the king, and he sent him away, and he is gone in peace. Now remember that Joab is quite angry at Abner because of the killing of the young man who could run, and his brother. And Abner, remember, told him twice, stand down, stand away. And Abner, of course, killed him. Was it murder? No, it was self-defense, because Abner knew that this young man intended to kill him. Now Joab is out for Abner. Then Joab came to the king, and that's David, and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? 25. Thou knowest Abner, the son, Joab still speaking, the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. The going out and coming in is a Hebraism, and it means he just simply wanted to see what kind of daily habits you observe, and so that he can plan against you. 26. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him from the well of Sarah, but David knew it not. So David was not in on this. Joab is acting totally on his own. 27. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly or privately, and smote him there under the fifth rib, that he died for the blood of Asahel his brother. Saul stabbed Asahel under the fifth rib, Joab's brother, and Joab has now killed him in the exact same manner. The between that fifth rib would have been a direct wound to the heart and would have been an instant fatal wound. 28. And afterward, when David heard of it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner the son of Ner. And he was. He is guiltless. Joab sent after Abner without consulting with David. David knew nothing of it. He is guiltless, and he will get in trouble with the northern tribes if they assume that he was involved in the killing of Abner. 29. Let it rest on the head of Joab and on all his father's house, Saul's house, and let there not fall from the house of Joab one that hath issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. Now he has put all of these things on persons who might come from the house of Joab. Number one, an issue of blood which would make one unclean. Leviticus 15:2. Maybe a leper, one who is lame or leans on a staff, or one that falls on a sword, that's a suicide, or one who doesn't have enough to eat. So there will be no one who will not be suffering in the house of Joab for this killing of Abner when Abner had acted in self-defense. So Joab and Abishai, his brother, slew Abner because he had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon in the battle. 31. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, rend your clothes and gird you with sackcloth and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the bier. David orders mourning. He cannot dare gloat that Abner has died, and he followed Abner's bier. 32. And they buried Abner in Hebron, and the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. 33. And the king lamented over Abner and said, died Abner as a fool dieth. That word fool should be translated ungodly. In other words, he died as someone who did not know God. 34. Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put in fetters, as a man falleth before wicked men, so fellest thou. And all the people wept again. He had done nothing wrong. David is eulogizing Abner. 35. And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David sware, saying, So do God and to me, and more also, if I taste bread or not, until the sun be down. So he is in a mourning fast. 30. And all the people took notice of it, and that was part of his plan to be noticed. And it pleased them that whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. David was very good at earning the pleasure and the approval of his people. 37. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that it was not the king to slay Abner the son of Ner. Important. He would never have been able to rule over those 10 tribes to the north had they thought he had killed Abner or had been involved in that death in any way. 38. And the king said unto his servants, Know ye not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? Once again, eulogizing Abner. 39 to finish this chapter. And I am this day weak, not physically weak. He means he is emotionally weak. Though anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zerubbabel, those are his sister's children, those are his nephews, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. These were his nephews, Joab and the one who was killed and the one who helped Joab to kill Saul. And they hated Abner. Chapter 4, a short chapter. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all Israelites were troubled. They knew who was the real king, and that the son of Saul's was a mere puppet. 2. And Saul's son had 2 men that were captains of bands. The name of one was Baanah, the name of the other Rechab, the sons of Rimmon, Beerothite, and the children of Benjamin, for Beeroth was also reckoned in Benjamin. Now, these people were in with the Benjamites, and they were near Gibeon, and of course that's Saul's tribe, Benjamin. 3, and the Beerothites fled to Gittaim and were sojourners there until this day. Until this day means until this was written for. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it came to pass, as she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame, and his name was Mephibosheth. And his nurse dropped him, of course, and he was a cripple. 5. And the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, and Rechab, and Baanah went and came about the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosheth, who lay on a bed at noon. So he was a fairly lazy sort. He's still lying in bed at noon. 6. And they came thither into the midst of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat. And they smote him under the 5th rib. And Rechab and Baanah his brother escaped. So they came in just as though they were just going to get some bread, and this person has suffered that same fatal stab under the 5th rib, and they got away. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, thine enemy, which sought thy life, and the Lord hath avenged my lord the king this day of Saul and of his seed. These folks are expecting to be rewarded for killing a son of an anointed king. 9. And David answered Rechab and Baanah his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, and said unto them, As the Lord liveth, who hath redeemed my soul out of all adversity. So he had sworn not to destroy the seed of Saul. David had, and these folks have taken the head of Saul's son and brought it to David, expecting reward. And David answered 10. When one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him and slew him in Ziklag, who thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings. So he's bragged that he killed Saul. 11. How much more when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his head? I not therefore now require his blood of your hand, and take you away from the earth? And David commanded his young men, and they slew them, and cut off their hands and feet, and hanged them up over the pool of Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. This is the conclusion of that chapter. These people have committed a murder in the hopes of getting some kind of monetary reward, some kind of favor, and it did not work at all, because David, of course, had taken an oath that he would not destroy the house of Saul. Please join in the next lesson as we continue through the book of 2 Samuel.